Yeah, I can see you.
Okay, nice. Finally. Okay. How are you doing today?
Yeah, I'm fine. How are you? I'm good.
Yeah, doing great. So I just got out from a meeting. So let me set up my notes before we begin.
Yeah, sure, no problem.
Okay, let's start. So we'll start with like a little bit about yourself, what you do in your current project, and then we'll go into like a whiteboarding session.
Yeah, no problem. Definitely. See, coming to my roles and responsibilities, right now I'm working in Fannie Mae. It's a financial based company. So I'm working in a completely like a FDL kind of application. Coming to my roles here, I have gotten like 8 years of experience in the industry, access of like software configuration management in the case, working on that building like a DevOps release management in case, and I'm working on the various kinds of like automations like CSRE pipelines and setting up the automations and deployments, and also like good experience on Amazon on EC2 instances on different kinds of services, and also good at like cloud formation templates, setting up the various cloud formation and automation inside, and setting up the content delivery network. I'm also working with almost like 15 Amazon tools and technologies like services upon based of current project, working with Amazon Elastic EC2, as well as like VPC, and I'm also responsible for deploying the containers to remote cloud environments, working with that applications. I am also good with like a cloud API and getting the services like integration inside, and also working with API, getting the promotions of code and all the way to the production system. So in my previous project, I'm working with like a DevOps production support with the Fannie Mae. Right now, I'm working like agile production and DevOps, and helping to deliver the critical functionalities for like cloud-based container service, and creating scripts for API with the cloud instances, and setting up that monitoring to like Nagios and dynamic running everything, and also good with working with Python scriptings and everything, and also with SSS works on managing configurations like Amazon Notes as well as the playbooks. I'm also working with like code formless templates, and sometimes we have written like Terraform templates for that one also for provisioning the everything, and like API also like internet cloud formations with Python SSS Wrap to manage the configurations. I'm also with good with like Ansible playbooks with the Java, and also like using that VPC and subnets and setting up the playbooks inside that, like working with elastic load balancers and APIs, and also working with Amazon Nodes, working on that playbook and setting up this kind of stuff we are doing right now, and also with working with written that Docker, coming to the Docker, using that Lambda functions, like deployment using that blue-green deployment, like Docker container snapshots, and also like a data pipeline, DynamoDB, Redshift, and also implementing that horizontal up to scaling, as well as OpenShift components on the top of that networking as well. This kind of work we are doing, and apart from that,
Yes.
also I'm working on that tickets based scenarios like ServiceNow and moocs of tickets. We'll get like 24/7. We'll work in the shift basis rotations. We'll work on that. Whenever we got an instance, we'll take over the instance and resolve the issue in like 24 hours, like 2 to 3 hours, like that. We'll mostly try to resolve the issue as soon as possible. This is all in my current project we are working right now.
Okay, that's nice. So we use pretty much all the tools and technology, whichever you mentioned, like the MOOCs of ServiceNow, OpenShift. So I think
Yeah,
you have
Rahul
the
mentioned everything for
global
me.
experience.
Yeah, Rahul mentioned everything for me.
Okay,
That's
okay.
fine.
So who all did you meet? Rahul and anyone
Just
else?
Rahul. Just Rahul.
Okay,
My first round is Rahul only.
okay. So you mentioned about like Python scripting. So is there any particular script which you are very proud of, like you created end to end or something of that sort? You want to like talk like 2 minutes about it?
Yeah, definitely. So basically, as I'm coming to that, actually, I have written completely on my knowledge from scratch. I have written like a script for switching that missions at night. and like switching at them on the morning, and they would be like to say that maybe working on getting the script up and running. We had a running the script which kind of reducing the cost in the case, which are really helping us to reduce the cost of applications. And apart from that, we also to working on that automation service integration, and say for working with that what we'll say that this kind of scripting to taking the non-prod instances and trying to switch them off in the night. So this kind of saying we have a lot of costs. So we apart from that, working with the customer services, like will be integration and trying to fix the problems there, and say for that kind, this kind of scenario we have been writing that Python scripts for at that time.
Okay. So, did you get any kind of a pushback or something from the teams like, hey, we want to keep it running throughout the day? Like, why do you turn off or something of that sort? Like, have you had such difficult customers?
So basically, some people know they be turning off them on the night only, right? We are not turning on and off the daytime. So we are only doing in the night time. So on using for that. So we are doing it the night time. So basically, actually a kind of problem. So this kind of scenario. So we didn't. I didn't saw any issues for that one.
Okay. No, I mean to say, uh, did you have some particular team or say for example some development team like saying like, hey, we have offshore presence as well, so we want our EC2 instances to be running all the time. Why does your automation interrupt? That kind of things has
Yeah,
it happened?
once in a while they told us that we want to be honest. So at the time we are able to disable that. But this is
Okay.
about a big thing that we have been to like agreement with them. So I would say like to say we have been using the same kind of process for that one.
Okay.
Sometimes it happens.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. So we'll jump into a whiteboarding. So
Sure.
1 minute. Sorry, I put it in do not disturb, but it could be okay. So uh, when you are asked to design a particular system, what are all the things that comes to your mind? Like what all questions do you typically ask, and how has it worked out for you?
So primarily, the first step I need to take, which is the capacity, the main concentrate of that. I would like to say that if any kind of capacity constraints, as well as like looking of that how the product and how it will be used in that case, and I think how it will we are looking at this high availability and like and let's like think let us say multiple people are using that. I would say like to say have that actual go and added like on the product basis systems in this case on runtime environment. So as looking at that legacy platforms and understanding how this entire things like could be availability on the top of that. So I think it's being gone like that. So how we can work with those kind of stakeholders, understand that requirements and get those fields on the top. And I would say like to say that availability of the data sites also. So kind of understanding that what kind of that initially we will do, they really wanted on that understand the specific requirements and the availability of that data points inside, and that could be a big problem for us.
Okay. So let's start with the design system. So do you have Chrome browser open? I mean, Chrome or some browser open. If you can share your screen and then open draw.io, we'll start from there.
Yeah, definitely.
Draw.io.
This is the one, right?
Yeah, you can decide later. That's fine. So we are going to design uh, a system very similar to LinkedIn, where we want to have users post their update, and then you will have a particular service which will give a recommendation like, hey, these are all the peoples who have similar skill set, similar background, worked in the similar companies based upon your current profile,
Okay.
and then it will give you a recommendation, and on the side it will also give you the recommendation about like these are all the learnings you can take to improve your career to the next step. And also like it keeps on populating with the events and updates from the other users. Like if you have 500 connections, those people may be writing a certification or something of that sort, and it will keep on putting it on top of your timeline. So we want to design such a solution, and this will be used by users throughout the globe. And so what I mean to say is like there will be traffic all the time. So I want you to design the system. Think of it from a SRE standpoint. I don't want to go deep into like the Java logic or anything. I want to keep it at a microservices level, and let's see how far we can get. Think of me like a intern in your team where you are leading. I'm going to just help you arrive at a good decision.
Okay, I can draw as per my knowledge. Okay.
Yeah, that's
I'm
fine.
not
We'll
an
start from
expert.
there. Yeah.
So yeah, I'm not an architect level guy, so I'm just drawing as per my knowledge. Okay. Yeah. this is the match. This should be like more enough than what kind of an application, because what I'm thinking is that for Java logic we can enable for this one right now. So all that multiple things in that case, but then it's going to be like a basic logic which were actually like adding during the real time enrollment, I would like to say. I think should be more than enough for the items thinking of right now. Is that okay?
Okay. Yeah. So can you walk me through like each of the layer, like when you were designing this, what was your thought process?
Yeah, definitely. So basically, first of all, at the end of the users will be like accessing the data, and that Mitchell like to see that what thing apart from that also. So you know that kind of working with that like a specific DNS by using like Route 53 for the DNSs, like we'll be like using the DNS is actually like send the request to the load balancer, which will be splitting the data traffic for that. Will be like replicated like services and fabricated the request of the app server pool. So from there, the requested load balancer will be able to add that specific data and like environments in this case, like getting that fabricated data inside so that it will go to that app server like pool, which will be kind of keeping track of like requirements and record, and so there's like a debit. So from there it'll be like also like work on that master TV like a poll for us, which will be like added, and then it will be going to that caching like layer. Then the DB will be having a master and then like a secondary database, which is going to be added to that top of that on the right like a cache layer, which will be helping for us of that. So this is
Okay,
the scenario.
got it. Okay, so does the which comes first, like the web or the app?
uh See, first of all, it will, depends upon the server sync. The web server will come first, so I think that can be changed. It depends upon the application. So but we can say that clicking of that button of like DNS.
Okay, so say for example, this architecture is being deployed, and you have users accessing the service, and they are complaining about high response time, like when the application is starting up, or when they are trying to load their initial page, they are starting to see like it's taking longer time to load, and the page is like literally very slow. They have to like wait for several seconds to get the page loaded. So what all improvements can you think of?
Yeah, this
uh,
is a type of expecting whenever the users are more like at the time of festivals, and at the time it will be happen. So at that time the solution is we have can have a content like delivery network, which can be added there. So this content delivery network can easily help us to add like a specific data plan. So I would like to say that if we just add the specific content delivery, which can be add on that specific data points, I would like to say that we have that Amazon content delivery, which will be very like CDN, which will be used for like Amazon like cloud front for us, which will be added there.
okay.
So it will be splitting the data with that particular requesters. So it will split the traffic there.
Okay, so where would you add that in this architecture?
In this architecture, we can add here 1 second. 1 second, I can show for you that. So here we can do that. Yeah, we can add here that this can be added here. Once we got the clicking of the any server like DNS server, first it will split the CloudFront, and we can split it here. This is the process here.
Okay, okay. And this is good. The CDN kind of helps alleviate some load.
Okay.
Say, for example, if users are trying to create a new post, the post doesn't get updated, or it waits for a while and then times out. What could be the bottleneck here, and how we can improvise there?
So at this time, for adding any other new features, so I think the web server might be having some memory issues. So at that time, we may be having something like a problem in that web API like point. So I would like to say that maybe we can be some absolute issues in the times of memory. So we can be like third party. So it will be third party fix for that. So we can fix that application side like web app, we can say like web API like service integrations at the time.
Okay. So this call is only specific to the right. So do you think adding any modifications or updating the app server will help? I mean, so the application, I mean, after you added the CDN, the application performance is good. It's all loading very well when compared to the previous issues, or like the slowness they had. That's this all like you had it fixed and you got all the appreciation, kudos, and everything. And then the users are now complaining about like a write taking longer time. So whenever they try to write something through a database, like maybe posting their certificates or posting up some images, they just get the timeout.
See, I think the app server and the web server both needed to be like known, like kind of upgraded. So in this case, so I think we have maybe useful for that maybe like CP and memory utilizations like inside. So we need to add the CP and memory. They'll be handle them in the real time like movement. So I would like to say that so if we have also make sure that the third party on that CPU service like environment. So I think they'll be really improving the performance of the app. So adding on this the third party application, so it will be helpful for us, like optimizing third parties, you can say.
Okay. So do you also have any kind of like this one with this current architecture, you are going to like make a call to your app server every single time. So
Okay.
what if a particular person is like keep on posting updates to their timeline all the time, and there are like five other people doing, like how do you pick which content to display on your timeline? Say for example,
So basically,
Uday has a profile, Om has a profile, and Rahul has a profile. So your profile, you are like friends with me and Rahul, and Rahul keeps on posting like certificate updates. I am keep on posting up some training updates. How do you get all three, all two?
See, basically for in scenario, we have having like catchy like we will have some recommendations like engine for we will had it for that one like recommendation engine will help us but adding a specification for the real-time environment. So for that one we will be going done with that reputation engine, like we can say that it will be also using for the specific data points, so we can use easily go and refuse the catching environment for that one, easy to get at the data environment. So this recommendation engine can be like help us like to get the application like based on that catchy layer, which will be helpful for us and get that them on that service like API. So it can be not a problem at all for that at that time by using that layer.
Okay. Okay, I'm still not following. Like, how does a caching layer kind of pull the updates and then post it in the timeline? Like, caching layer, say for example, if I post something, it stays in my cache. How does it populate in your timeline?
So I'm not going with that into that Java logic here. I'm just trying to make sure that we have some specific scenarios. Can be
Okay. Okay. That's fine. So with this architecture in mind, like what all bottlenecks do you see in this architecture, and where all will you implement monitoring?
things like the bottlenecks which I see in that sometimes that monitoring is no not implemented here. So it's just a basic like bare bones like architecture which are actually created. So I mean like that we have made we just made it like a way that basic bare bones like tricky which which we have created. So have not like optimizing and other things inside like that. So here we had to had like a specific optimizations in terms of monitoring and other things, which will be enable for us to add the back in the base like services, and said that so that none of the services are down and validated on the top of that. So we can validate like that.
Okay. No, okay. I think you got my question in a different way. So
Okay.
I'm trying to see like which all points will you monitor in this particular architecture. Think of this is your production architecture.
Okay.
Where all will you put monitor? Like you have CloudWatch, right? So say for
Okay,
example,
got
if you
you.
want to add some
Yeah,
alarms or something in CloudWatch, like
yeah,
what
got you.
particular layers will you monitor and for what metrics will you monitor?
So basically, we'll put the monitor in the CloudWatch itself. So as well as that, like app dynamics for the application monitoring. So which can help us like monitoring that application in the real time dynamic environment, and also set up alerts and email alerts for the variation various stakeholders for the. Mostly, whenever we can see that CPU utilizations and high amount of CPU utilization at the time, we'll keep all these monitoring tools for us, which will alert us, get the emails or page duty and everything for that at the time to modify anything virtualization everything for that one. So here we'll keep that kind of scenario stakeholders.
Okay. Apart from monitoring the CPU and memory, do you think we need to monitor anything as from a SRE standpoint?
SRE standpoint, the most major thing we need to check was the health. Health is the most important thing from my
Okay.
knowledge. We need to look into that uptime and response time of the application, and we need to see that the app is always up and running, and it's helping. It's always in a good state. Like we have a RAM monitoring like Grafana from in my project right now. Like we are using Grafana for that one. So we will see that app is running always, and we'll see the watcher also that every time the app is running with the health the good health, like Tomcat. If anything is wrong like in the new deployments and everything, we'll shut on the Tomcat first and we'll reinstate that one, and we'll make the health make that if anything goes with the network side issues and everything, we'll see that one, and we'll make as soon as possible that health needs to be good for that one. So as we will take look at that health monitoring and also fix the problems as soon as possible. The most recent the most basic outage we got like 2 hours only, as per like from the past 1 year. So we'll also have that app dynamics also like a new relic dashboard, which will be able to help us getting the latest updates of the application side in that case. And the most alerting tool for us for to keep anything happen for the app, which is the main SLA for us. If anything happens to the app, it will get the page as soon as possible. So like in fraction of seconds, we'll get into that outage channel and we'll resolve the issues as soon as possible for that one.
Okay.
Yeah.
Perfect. So, so going back to the design thing again. So now you have deployed in your primary region. So you have uh, a tremendous growth. Like you have 50 users. Let's, I mean, just hypothetical number. So you have 50 users to start with, and then it exponentially increased. Like maybe it became like a 5,000 users. Now, how will you like scale this existing architecture?
Okay, so we had to add the major strike. We'll get it the load balancers. We can use. We can also have that failover clusters. We also have like make sure that E category instances, C category instances. So we'll increase that instance type to CPU optimize, memory optimize like instances we require. So we'll migrate from infrastructure as a service to like a platform as a service, which will includes migrating to Elastic Bean stack for this, which will which will be automatically handle capacity, which will be added. Will add that NoSQL database, which will be very helpful for us, and use that Postgres database, which will like shared like database. We can also make sure that the static applications are single page applications, which can be run on S3 buckets. So that capacity is not a problem for at all for that, because it's actually virtual unlimited capacity. So on the top of that, we can run run on time service for that one. So there'll be not big issue if the users are increasing. We can increase that. It'll be helpful by the ELB for us in the AWS. Sorry, in AWS.
Okay. Um, Got it. So even in that case, like, how do you do the database replication? Like you need to. Uh, this is a kind of a critical service, so we cannot afford to have any kind of a downtime. So
Yeah,
in that,
mostly.
keeping that in mind, how will you scale up?
So basically, in that case, coming to the database replication, I would say that coming to that scale of application on the critical databases, we can see that like first of all we have to look at the path of the primary master and slave databases. We also have like a distract like a recovery database, which will be on the third party like region. So that's the primary is in on that US East region, and then the secondary will be on the US West region. So there will be real time database like updates for that. So we can also use that Amazon Aurora, which will be like a multi-starter, like a multi-master region for that across the multiple regions in this case. So we don't have to worry about the downtime, and it's also totally managed by Amazon. So this is one of the other solutions which can be implemented on AWS, like Amazon. So it's the third party like application like API data and everything. It will be helpful for us.
Okay, sounds good. So maybe we take it one step further, and then we have a particular team which does the rewrite operation, and then say like, hey, this architecture is having like a single monolith. We want to deploy it into like a multiple microservices, and then they do the deployment, and then you have the same service broken down into like 5 different microservices. And in that case, one particular microservices kind of always has some kind of issues going on, like they deploy some change or they make some DB user, I mean DB password rotation or some certificate modification. That service is always unreliable. How do you prevent from your entire application failing just because of that particular service? Like how do you uh, avoid a full outage just for that one microservice?
So in this scenario, we can use that HashiCorp vault. Like we can use that HashiCorp vault, which can be stored that credentials or secrets, and we can also like we can say also avoid the full outage by using a distractor like a recovery region, which can be like routing that traffic from primary to the second in this case in the runtime, and defend like them with the third party with that application code, and work on that like a secret data point in that application, so we can have it code like that one. So we can have that get that like service integration on the full outage data. So we can also use that DNS like basic routing like mechanism, which can be very helpful for us because DNS is totally like based upon the UDP protocol. So we can useful for that, it will be helpful for that in this process in this scenario.
Okay, um, sounds good. So um, I think I have just one more question on the related note. Then we'll move on to a different one. So so for this particular use case, like, do you think of designing any particular dashboard or something to keep track of any metrics or data points? If that's an ask, like, what would that be?
From my mind, it will strike the first one. We have that Kubernetes dashboard, which we'll be using for in our environment. Like, so we have the new recall like dashboard, so which will really help us to keep the track the entire thing. We have to like also share it the various stakeholders like development like teams as well as like testing teams, and they'll also keep like track of it. So we also have like a SRE like a site-reliability monitoring tool. We have been like navigations like dashboard for that one, like infrastructure monitoring on that database like data center side. So which will help us for monitoring that like which help like restart that service like automatically, and would like to send the runtime services and everything for that one. Like which helps through monitoring for that end-to-end metrics and alerting for that one. Like even handlers in the navigations and everything.
Okay, sounds good. So just taking this to like one layer above, so one more layer above, so like you have microservices, and then
Okay.
you also have some event bus or some kind of a queuing mechanism, which will kind of like as and when a user posts an update, it goes lands in a queue, and then one of the microservices picks from the queue and then post it into like all the other people's timelines, and think of it that way. So with that event was introduced newly, will your monitoring change in any way? Like, will you what all metrics would you monitor for a event bus based application?
Mm, So in this scenario, so basically for the event bus application monitoring events, we can easily monitor. It is about first of all adding like custom agents on the top of that. So these agents can be added to the data and points and saying like a debit. So that kind of adding the agents on the third party application site. So we can also add like points and integrate them with that release API. So we can also make sure that the entire like entire agents like enter agents and deployed on that endpoint protection like API. So this will in fact like a prediction of API. So be integrated on the top of that. So we can define them with that source API. So once this is done, we can also handle that source code and release them on that like a container apps. So we have the each of that containerization apps can be used like a level of application service like API and deployed on the top of that. So it can be very useful for helpful for us like getting the application based like a containerization insight and had a full of run full and everything for that one. Like with third party, we can use the release them on the code like containerization and had full on that run level 7 thing.
Okay, sounds good. So this is what I had. So let me quickly take a screen capture.
Sure.
So moving on to next one. So have you had any experience calculating SLOs for any microservices or any service in particular?
Okay, yeah, SLO, yes, because we had done some testing in the services of like a level objective. So, like service level, we can say basically we have actually looked at the average downtime of the application by looking at the mounting teams and various like mounting dashboards, and we are actually calculated that SLOs and fixing these issues inside like average run downtime of that application side. So once we got up, we are able to calculate this on the particular site for that.
Okay. Can you walk me through a scenario? So I have a microservices which has just an it's a simple API which
Okay.
talks to a database and has only like a lookup and update. So lookup, update, and delete. So there is no write operation or anything. So I'm coming to you and asking like, hey, I want to set up a SLO for my application, and what all questions would you ask me?
Okay, in this is one of the scenarios. So basically if you want to set up that SLO for this microservice application, first of all we need to we'll ask the person the whatever the person we are giving about that to represent the complex relationship between like the sources features and the journey on this, and the case will actually look into that availability and the specific relationship with the customer experience in this case about that how the entire application is working on that in the backlog like between the futures and changes, and also like technical debate. And because there'll be like a business law which will be helping us to prioritize like well looking into that uptime and like latency and everything for that one, also like proposition between the success and the interactions between the users. So business will be like flows and the journeys as well. So to use this kind of use case scenarios were identified in the case of like analysis phase, because you know that will happen in that type like abstract implementation of the domain. So like service inputs and also like shares the components and like futures for that one inside the, so that I think that interaction can be used for that one with the users on the real time and monitoring the flows. So we can could be like availability on the top of that all kind of scenarios will base will create that SLO for them.
Okay. Um, so can you walk me through a typical CI/CD system? Like what are all the stages will be there? Uh,
Yeah, so yeah, I can explain this continuous integration continuous pipeline. So in the Jenkins file, like based on the Groovy pipelines, we have got a multiple branch declarative pipelines. So which like we can actually say that like inside there is a application inside. So we'll create the pipelines for that one, like a Groovy pipelines for the like a part of from that. But also we have one specifically going to the create like custom pipelines like customers pipeline. So the Groovy integrate like a integration system for that one. So first of all we will like automatic check out the code and we check out the code, and then the static code analysis and will be deployed inside that from there we'll be able to do like validate, and then in the custom like containers inside that application and integration, and working with that integration of third party on the like static code analysis is done. So we can handle that entire service API and the customs deployment side. So this kind of scenarios of pipelines we are working. So also we can also do that blue green deployment, which helps us to make sure that there is no downtime for us for that one here.
Okay. So since you are into like a finance based environment, like how do you do the um, change promotion? Like when you want to deploy some code from dev to prod, like how do you typically handle it?
So basically, due to prod coming to that change promotion, I would like to say that we have actually looking into that production like systems. So we are able to understand it from like production environment. So we will first what we'll say that we'll first of all do that pre-production with the production. So in this quality analysis environment, so once we got that go ahead from the customer side, though we are able to create a report, and then we in that code average is more than 75%, more than that of the code average, then the Sona Cube checks will be like running on the top of that. So from that Sona Cube jacks will be next step will be actually on the specific things. So we will take the next step basing on that runtime. So fixing that sulfur code like average and trying to get it down done with that kind of scenario, and on the top of that code average environment. So from there we'll able to understand how the specific data point is actually ended there, ended here, and say that there is the next step taking a data point. So from there we'll be able to get that source code and that runtime API, and then handle the particular system, and will be useful for in this handle like specific environment. So will be also useful we'll say that a JMeter, which will be used for like unit testing and functional testing for us, which will be able for us to what we'll say that able to get some specific services and the data points inside that we are able to do that promote in this blue green deployment in the load in the load balancer. So as well as after that auto scaling groups, I would like to say that is there any very easy for us to promote the code all the ways to the production system, and then validate it and handle it and in the real time like min max. We would like to say like this for this one.
Okay. Sounds good. So one more. I mean, this is my last question, and then I'll let you ask any questions you may have. We are
Yeah,
at
sure, no
145.
worries, no worries.
So yeah. So have you had experience in running any kind of proof of concepts within your project? And if you are, say, for example, you are given, hey, we are going to deploy this microservice. Can you go and check for this particular tool whether this meets our use case? Like what all approaches do you typically follow, and then how do you handle it?
So actually doing the proof of concept with the previous project in my previous project I did it. So actually working on the same like a specific proof of concept in the backend side and deploying them on that microservices data points in this case, and also with that multiple tools in terms of which use cases deployment diagram, and working with the third party applications like containerization, and deployed them with that source code, and also working on that container APIs in terms of like proof of concept for that one in the backend side. So looking at that how the entire data is actually kind of captured inside that proof of concept data, and seeing that kind of integration with that one, so we can share that report which can be shared to the various stakeholders, like in this case on the containerization API. So here I think we can see that one of that we can be useful for, we can define the specific and API with that integrated, which will be helpful while integration for the integrator. And instead then we can also service integration, which can be release, and also getting this third party like MDM and diagrams, and specified then on top of that. So the reports can be like automated, and stakeholders can data and integrated on that containerization service for API, which will be not a problem for at all. For it'll be very easy and useful for us. So we can define that all of this validation environments in the technical diagrams. So we can create a custom document which can be shared with the stakeholders on the runtime here. So we can review these documents, and we can give that demo for them, and we can actually give that insights, and we can improve the system and everything here. This kind of scenario we'll do here in the proof of concepts.
Okay, so what is your level of expertise in Kubernetes? If you can stop your share if you want. I mean, I'm sorry, I didn't say that.
Oh, it's okay.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah. So,
wow. what is your level of expertise, or like how do you rate yourself on a scale of 1 to 5?
I will say that my proof of concept. I see
No,
Kubernetes.
Kubernetes.
Yeah, yeah.
On a Kubernetes.
Sorry. Kubernetes. I started. I can rate myself as a 4 to 5 because I started recently in this project only like 1 year back. As I said for Rahul, also the same thing. So that Helium charts and everything, we are just migrating that kind of stuff here. That like actually working on the Kubernetes API. Recently, I'm treating myself as an about 5 to 5. So like we have been using migrating that Helium charts in the runtime environment, that Kubernetes API automation, which is the directory like. So I think the problem should not be a problem for that. So I'm actually working on that migration behind Jetson of a third party for that.
Okay, sounds good. So we have 12 more minutes. If you don't, I am done with all my questions, which I plan to ask today.
Okay.
We are all good. So if you have any other questions, we can discuss now. Anything specific to discover or particular to this role or anything it can be.
I just forgot to ask this question, Rahul. I just want to know what kind of role I'm going to do here because he just said that you have like three kinds of buckets right now. You're in the infrastructure bucket. I'm good with that. But what kind of role if I'm going to do if I'm going to be getting into this project? I just want to know the clear, brief explanation for that one.
Got it. Okay.
Just one question.
That's a good question. So, much needed question. So,
Yeah.
so you have three types of SREs here. One is like a platform SRE,
Okay.
infrastructure SRE, and a product family SRE. So all three SREs kind of work hand in hand. So the infrastructure SRE kind of takes care of all the, as the name suggests, all the infrastructure like cloud infrastructure, whether they have the right capacity, whether they have the right licensing, whether they have the right tools to perform, and all the other aspects with respect to the infrastructure. Platform SRE, on the other hand, runs POCs, implements, creates checklists like a deployment checklist, like what are the best practices when it comes to a deployment, how do you want to set up your auto scaling, HPA, those kind of configuration on the Kubernetes. If a team wants to bring in a caching layer, say for example Elastic Cache or like a Memcache or any kind of caching, Redis, so for that example, and this team will basically go and do a POC, run their findings and say like, hey, for this particular tooling, these are all the sizing we recommend, and this is where you want to place your Redis cache as close to your application possible so that you can have a better response time and it solves your problem. And these are all the deployment guidelines we are publishing, and we pass it on to the product family team. Product family teams are the ones who work closely with the application delivery or the Scrum teams. So they work day to day in, day out with the application teams which write the Java code or like a Spring Boot code. So they work closely with them. They make sure like the teams are having enough hours in mind when they define a feature. Say for example, if a customer comes and say like, hey, we want to do some XYZ feature for a particular wallet, the SRE, the product family SRE and the role which you are interviewing for, that particular SRE should ask like, hey, what is the volume expected? Like, how will they grow? What is the response time typically we are able to support, and what is the response time the customer is expecting, and how many say in this case, like how many tokens are they going to provision, what is the TPS looks like, what kind of monitoring do they need, how do they implement the security, like where they will store the tokens, where they will store the DB credentials, how it will be rotated. So these kind of questions you need to post it to the application team or Scrum teams and make sure like they are having all this in mind when they define a feature. Like they should not define a feature and do this after the fact. Like they cannot roll it to prod and then think about like, okay, why am I having a security issue or why am I having a outage?
Yeah, I got it. We are doing the same kind of scenarios. We'll raise the change tickets for this. Oh, I'm sorry. We'll raise the change tickets for this one, and we will do the same kind of implementation in our applications right now. Like we have work on the canary host right now and deploy on the non-canary. After that, once everything is successful here. So this kind of scenario will work here.
Got it.
Yeah. I'm good with that. Yeah, that is only the question I have right now. And because the reason I'm asking is one of my friend who is working in your company already, he said that the role itself is a high level role, he's saying. So principal architecture is nothing but at high level who the art it's more than art tech. He's saying that's the reason I want to make clarity from my side.
So recently they had a change of roles here. So they started. Not sure if you have heard about it. It's called Dreyfus. It's an widely available leveling guideline. It's called DRYFUS, Dreyfus.
Okay.
If you can Google it up, like a Dreyfus model, you can find it. So there are like 5 levels which they typically publish. So there'll be novice, competent, proficient, expert, and so on. So there are like 5 widely available categories. So all these roles are kind of fitted into those 5 levels. So initially there are like numerous levels within Discover. So they wanted to streamline and standardize this process. So that's why they started implementing this. This happened about a year ago, and that's when they did all this leveling. So the role you are interviewing for is like an application engineer role, which is like a competent level, where you will you will meet the like SRE. Let me refresh it. So you will come with a mindset of automating and also with like a SRE best practices. So the team will be looking up to you for providing the best practices, challenging the status quo, asking them the questions about reliability, and helping them build systems which are highly available.
Yeah. That kind of level I can work. No, it's no issue. Yeah. Thank you for.
Yeah. Do you have any other questions?
Nothing else. That's the only question I have.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you. I know it's a challenge when you have the design in raw.io. It's not a like in-person whiteboard. Nothing can.
No, actually, whiteboard is the first time I'm using. You have given that it's a separate Google, but whiteboard session I have gone through that in the YouTube. This is the first time I'm seeing that. Even in my company in Farim, I have searched for in the Teams that whiteboard is a session there, but we have special permissions for to download it. I don't know.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. This one, Discover doesn't have any specific whiteboarding tool accepted by the organization. So within this digital payments area, we started using draw.io. So this kind of helps so that we don't transmit data. Like I don't send anything, you don't send anything to me. So
yeah, I know that. But coming to the whiteboard, also it's the same kind of scenario. I have seen that in the YouTube. Yeah, it's good. Familiar with that same kind of architecture and everything. We can use that same whiteboard.
Okay, sounds good. Thank you. Really appreciate it, and thank you.